Yo! Welcome back to the channel. Kamusta sa inyong lahat? Today's video is a true bombshell for the gaming industry. Not a metaphorical bombshell, but a real one. A Euro-regulated, law-soaked, currency-obliterating legislative nuke that is already rattling the gilded cages of gaming executives everywhere. Yes, we are talking about the European Union, and no, this isn't just about USB-C chargers. Well, not entirely. But in this video, we'll explore the premise, the regulatory actions being taken, and how they impact Wuthering Waves and other RPG gacha games. Now, before we do that, let's shout out. This entire situation was first brought into the spotlight by Bellular News, whose video unpacking the EU's regulatory bombshell racked up millions of views in just a few days. Their breakdown is both comprehensive and scathing. And if you want the full deep dive, complete with delicious industry panic, the link's in the description. Definitely worth a watch. Let's rewind to September 2024. The EU proposes the Digital Fairness Act, targeting all those digital design decisions that make online services feel like a psychological escape room designed by a particularly shady magician. Because apparently, dark and shady predatory monetization patterns are more likely than you think. The EU says no more, and specifically, they say no more to video game monetization practices that manipulate children. And if you're wondering, how did this glorious anti-capitalist crusade begin? Well, with horses. Star horses. Not just any horses, but virtual, meticulously groomed, pixel-perfect Swedish horses galloping straight into the regulatory spotlight. Star Stable, the MMO you've probably never heard of unless you're a tween girl, a YouTube algorithm, or a very confused journalist, is the likely epicenter of this legislative earthquake. And this is a real game. This game actually exists. And it's monetized like a Vegas slot machine repackaged with sparkles and saddle pads. We're talking daily login bonuses, timed offers, and enough premium currency bundles to make even Diablo blush. It's currently under investigation by the EU, and not just for funsies, because here's the kicker. Star Stable has been prominently featured in a staggering number of influencer videos aimed at children and teens, specifically girls, who are still too young to understand the difference between buying a horse and gambling away their snack money. That's not just problematic, guys. That's a glitter-coated ethical nightmare galloping full speed towards regulatory doom. Turns out, when you make a horse game for kids and lace it with FOMO, surprise currency bundles, and influencers whispering sweet nothings about microtransactions without disclosing the spending risks, you get the attention of the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, or as we call them now, the EU Gaming Avengers. And what do the Gaming Avengers want? They want fair currency, transparent pricing, refund options, and no more of that buy 200 gems or 400 gems when the item costs for 300 trickery. And certainly no more today-only psychological warfare. Imagine buying a digital horse and getting your money back because you regret it. Now that's revolutionary. But this isn't just about one game. These proposals are now the foundation for what the European Consumer Organization calls key principles for trustworthy gaming environments. And let me tell you, if those principles had a face, Bobby Kotick would be punching it in his dreams. Because these principles apply to all premium currency systems in the EU, proof or otherwise. Diablo 4, EAFC 24, Fortnite, Madden, even NBA 2K's My Team mode. They're not skating by every single title that leans on premium currency bundles to squeeze out just a bit more cash to push players with psychological nudges rather than clear value is now under the microscope. The European regulatory hammer isn't just aimed at horse games, it's ready to smash the entire stable of manipulative and predatory monetization models across the gaming multiverse. And the industry response? Farcical. The European Game Developers Federation and Video Game Europe released a joint statement that was basically one long sweaty panic attack written in corporate lingo. They are disappointed. Disappointed that they might not be able to sell kids invisible coins with the same reckless abandon. Tragic, truly. But here's where it gets wild. Some companies might just pack up and leave the EU. That's right, they might geo-restrict access to their games rather than comply. The threat is real. Play Overwatch? Not anymore, you Euro nerds. Except that the EU has a GDP of nearly $18 trillion and more citizens than your favorite influencer has controversy. It's not a market you casually abandon unless you're committed to speedrunning bankruptcy. And then we have the libertarian take. Let the market decide. If people don't like it, they won't buy it, right? Except they do buy it. Because these systems are designed specifically to override the rational part of your brain. Behavioral economics meets dark wizardry. So, no, self-regulation is about as effective as a warning label on a loot box. And in this glorious era of trade trade wars, the situation gets even murkier than a loot box's odd of disclosure. As Western markets grow more regulated or simply more pissed off, guess where the digital vultures are eyeing next? That's right, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, and maybe even Latin America. Regions where enforcement is sparse, regulations lag behind, and consumer protection laws are more suggestions than shield. In other words, if your country is poor and your government officials blatantly steal from the national budget, well, congratulations. You're now the new preferred testing ground for exploitative monetization mechanics. The global south becomes a dumping ground for first world gaming greed. Because in this industry, the poorer you are, the more your wallet becomes a target. And sure, enforcing this won't be easy. I mean, Belgium already banned loot boxes back in 2018. And what did the industry do? Mostly shrugged, tossed a few terms and conditions around, and kept spinning their digital roulette wheels like it was business as usual. But this time, it's different. This isn't just one country making noise. It's the entire European Union, the second largest video game market in the world, coming down like a legally fortified avalanche. And unlike before, the enforcement mechanisms are finally catching up. The EU isn't just tossing guidelines into the void. It's giving consumer watchdogs real bite with cross-border cooperation, coordinated investigations, and fines that even the greediest publishers can't ignore. Just look at Apple. They didn't switch to USB chargers out of the kindness of their hearts or a sudden burst of engineering idealism. They did it because the EU said, do it or lose the market. And Apple loves money more than lightning ports. If enough revenue is on the line, the same logic will apply to game companies wherein compliance becomes the cost of entry. And here's the wild twist. If these laws take root, the American version of your favorite game might actually be worse than the European version. That's right. Your friends across the pond could be enjoying fair pricing and transparent refund options, feeling betrayed by the economic FOMO. So what's the endgame here? Either the game industry adapts to a world where tricking children out of their allowances isn't a business model, or they risk becoming regional curiosities like PAL DVDs or non-alcoholic beer that actually tastes good. This might be the start of something big. Or maybe it's just the first brick thrown through the glass house of premium currency. Either way, you can thank the EU and a couple of pixelated ponies for that. And the biggest question for us is, how will this affect Gacha RPGs? Well, buckle up because Wuthering Waves and every Gacha RPG launching in the next 2 years is now staring down a radically different European market. With the EU cracking down on deceptive currency systems, gacha games that rely on bundles or of premium currency like asteroids or rainbow tokens or whatever sparkly name they come up with next will need to start offering transparent, user-friendly alternatives. That means no more mystery boxes without clear odds, no more buy 6480 gems for a chance at this one thing you might not get, and definitely no more currency leftovers designed to push players into buying more just to make the math work. In short, this is the depth of the 50-50 concept, at least for the EU market. For Wuthering Waves, which is already poised to be a heavy hitter in the gacha RPG space, this means either adapting their monetization model to meet EU standards or geo-restricting content, which could cut off a massive player base. But let's be honest, Kuro Games isn't going to walk away from a market with nearly 450 million consumers. Instead, we could see regional price adjustments, EU-only refund options, or even completely restructured banner mechanics to pass regulatory scrutiny. Zooming out, the ripple effect will hit every gacha RPG currently in development. Developers can no longer get away with psychological monetization tactics in regions with actual consumer protection laws. And since most new gacha games want that sweet global launch energy, this legislation will likely shape how they build their system from day one. It's not just Wuthering Waves on the line here, it's the future of how gacha works everywhere. So yes, Wuthering Waves will feel the heat, but if it survives the pressure and adapts, it might come out as one of the most player-respecting gacha RPGs ever released in the West. And that's not a bad legacy to build, right? Now, if only they could enact a law that forces developers to refund players when they spend on a Resonator because of a wardrobe malfunction, only for it to get a post-release design change. I wonder how that would work out. Now, if you like this video, remember to leave it a like, comment, and subscribe. Smash that bell for future contents. Thank you so much for watching. Maraming salamat po, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye!